Hey my friend, ambient guitar tutorial day. So today I'm gonna show you how to play the sound on my song Spaceships that sounds like this. So most of the sound is done with the Strymon Timeline. So if I remove the timeline, it sounds like this. So if you want to know more about this bass, I suggest you go see my tutorial on how to get huge swells. Basically, I'm using the micro pug with certain settings and my chorale mode on the big sky along with my immerse and El Capistan that are always on. Like always, so if you want really to go in depth with those settings, go watch that tutorial on the upper card. But what is the most interesting today is the filter mode on the timeline. This is really this kind of sound that's gonna give you this futuristic kind of characteristic. So now I removed everything and just the timeline itself. So the little waves come from an LFO on the timeline in filter mode. So if you look at the timeline, all knobs are as shown. So the filter is at noon, the grid there is none, speed and depth, mix, repeats, everything is as shown. But what's more interesting is when you push the value button and you access all the other parameters. Here, so it says params for parameters, and then you have the LFO type. So I think you have a dozen LFO types you can choose from on this pedal. So you have some sine and saw and up and down. So you have dozens of them. I tried many, like this one. But it wasn't really the sound I was looking for. So in the manual of Strymon, they say that if you want a subtle effect, you can pick up a sine one, like this. Now it's not subtle because of my settings, but you will see after. But the most interesting one for me, and the one that they said in the manual was for more futuristic sound, is the random one. So now the LFO is really random, and it's really the kind of filter I was looking for. But then once I chose the random one, I wanted the fastest speed possible. So you have a whole big range of speeds like this. So if I go all the way to the last one, so if I have 1/32, this is a really slow speed, so that could have been great too, but it's maybe too slow for the kind of effect I was looking for. That's still a great sound, but when it's at the maximum speed, you hear it a lot more. It's more prominent, right? Then after the speed is the depth. So this is where pretty much in the middle, I didn't want it to be too hard on the sound too. And then the filter Q. So they said that a high filter Q along with the random one was for more futuristic sound. So instead of lower settings, I took the highest one at 10. And then the location of where this LFO is it pre-delay or post-delay? For now, I have it pre-delay because I find it's much more controlled this way. If I have it at post, here it's how it sounds. It's less controlled than pre. I'm gonna play the same thing. So it's the kind of the same thing. I want my modulation effects to be before my delays. So this is going to be the same principle on the timeline internally. So it applies the modulation pre-delay. And for me, I like it better this way. And then are there other settings? A high pass filter at 120 hertz because the very, very lows were getting in the way a little bit. So high pass filter. And the rest is pretty much like this. So now with high repeats and a good mix, you have a futuristic sound. If I put the mix 2 up, you get too much of it, like it's like water, right? So I backed off on the mix a little bit. And then along with my other effects, so my always on reverb and delay, my chorale mode, and the micro pog for extra octaves up and down, you get a really big futuristic sound. It really gave me a feeling of loneliness in space. That's why I called it Spaceship, right? I don't know, this kind of LFO, this filter, has a quality to it that is really expensive in my soundscape. If I remove it and I want to play the same thing, that's a great sound, but with it, it fills up the space just nicely, and it's a very original, unique sound. So that's why I like using the timeline a lot, because there are so many kinds of delays that are out of the box that you can really play with it like this. So that's a great thing to have all those kinds of sounds and tools on your pedal board to create some unique sounds. So if you have the timeline, go try it for yourself. And just before you leave, I have a gift for you. I have my free guide on how to write ambient guitar songs. I've written more than 100 ambient songs and looped with myself on YouTube over the years, and I give you my best tips to write for ambient guitar in this guide. Tips like this, but way more in depth. So if you want to get it, it's in the first link in the description box. So just click on the first link and get your guide in your inbox right away. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir.